Central Europe, northern Lower Saxony. Beeswax pressing in a traditional apiary. On the cultivated heathland between Bremen and Hamburg, in Langenfelde near Sittensen, stands the farmstead of the head beekeeper Georg Klindworth. In late summer, when the work of the swarming season is over, the beekeeper has time to deal with his harvest of summer beeswax. This task is done in the main farm building. August van Bargen, beekeeper and employee of Klindworth's apiaries, prepares the wax press in a special wax room. He kindles a fire with wood scraps under the big cauldron in which he's going to melt the wax. He uses tap water to help in the melting process. A smaller cauldron is used to heat water for pressing the wax. Meanwhile, enough water has been let into the wax cauldron and it is heated to boiling. Freshly cut beech logs provide plenty of heat. A lot of wax has been saved in big barrels since wax was last pressed the previous winter in December and January. The wax has been compressed and the barrels sealed. While the cauldrons are heating, the containers have been brought up to room temperature. The residues are contaminated with dead bees, larvae, honey, pollen and fragments of straw from the sugar solution feeders commonly used in skep beekeeping. The beekeeper makes sure that the larger pieces are completely melted and that the wax and water are well mixed. Also, compact pieces of light wax from drone comb, which has been previously melted, must be melted again. The liquid mixture is bubbling and producing steam. In the wooden press, the cloth used nowadays is of the type manufactured for pressing fruit pulp. Special care is taken not to spill any of the wax. Freed of coarse solid contaminants, the hot wax-water mixture runs into a wooden tub. Only tiny particles can pass through the cloth. When it is sufficiently full, the cloth is twisted up. The farmer, Jan Klinvort, one of Georg's brothers, screws the press closed, and the spindle pushes the heavy wooden board against the ribs at the front of the pressing space. This particular model is known as a starter press. After every pressing, the big cauldron is refilled. Towards the end, it takes considerable effort to turn the screw. To maximize the yield, the press is opened at this stage to press the wax a second time. The contents of the cloth are loosened and replaced after turning. With the help of boiling water, the rest of the wax is washed out. After this effort, the pressing is finished. The cloth with the residues is set aside to cool. The wax is added continuously, and, to keep the vessel on the boil, wood is placed on the fire at regular intervals. Few words are exchanged as August and Jan work together. Before reusing the cloth, the cooled residues are discarded. The next pressing begins. Because of the danger of the hot spurting wax, and to avoid too rapid a cooling process, the press is covered. In the tub, the wax and water have separated. The lighter wax floats so that the contaminated water underneath can be run off. Once more, it is time to refill the cauldron with further wax to be treated. As soon as the collecting and cleaning tub is filled with wax, this can be ladled into molds to form wax blocks. Care is taken to remove wax only from the surface. Hot water in the bucket mold prevents the wax from cooling too quickly, which might cause cracks while hardening. The hot water also serves to keep the wax from sticking to the mold and makes it easier for the last of the contaminants to settle. The press is unscrewed again in order to turn the cloth and its contents around. Hot water is added to reheat and rinse the contents. In the same way, one cloth after another is pressed. To make room for the newly processed wax, water must continually be let out of the tub. If the temperature is allowed to rise too steeply, there is danger that the wax will boil over and catch fire. Therefore, the temperature is regulated by adding cold water. August and Jan must work several days to process all of the wax saved since the previous winter. From 3 kilograms of crude wax, 1 kilogram of clarified wax is obtained. Up to 150 kilograms of clarified wax are made on a single day of pressing. The wax blocks must be cooled at least a day before finishing. This work is done by the head beekeeper Georg Klintwort himself. His brother Jan helps him. The top of the blocks are rounded off so that the edges are not fragmented during transport. At the bottom of each bucket mould, a thin layer of fine impurities has settled out of the wax. This layer is pared off the block and discarded. To do this, the beekeeper uses a strong pocket knife. Typically, for summer wax, wasps and flies become embedded in the top layer during the cooling process. They must also be removed. The cleaner the wax, the higher the price it fetches when it is sold. "10 to 15 blocks are the product of one day of pressing. Because wax is so valuable, the parings cleaned off the blocks are saved for the next pressing. Until they are sold, the wax blocks are stored in the loft. The average weight of these wax blocks is 8.5 kilograms. There are 50 to 60 blocks of wax in the loft at beekeeper Klindvod's apiary, 500 kilograms. The product of a good year. At about 12 marks per kilo, each block is worth 100 marks, a useful reserve when special outlays have to be made.